All right, so I'm back the next day. The epoxy's had a chance to cure, and I've got a 1/8 inch compression bit from Speed Tools in the CNC machine, and I'm just getting the Z-axis zeroed so I can start the cut. This will be a multi-stage cut. I'm going to use the 1/8 inch end mill and then switch to a 16th inch end mill, and then finally a 1/32 inch end mill, just to get the detail I need for some of the smaller pieces. Some of that is due to design issues that I probably should have taken into account, and some of it's just the size and the features that I want to incorporate. So we'll get that cut started. All right, so that cut worked out well. I cleaned up the edges a little bit with the sandpaper, but it followed the line perfectly and got rid of all the MDF that was outstanding. And so now I just have two clean lines of epoxy on the inside of the dinosaur body and the outside of the nameplate. So I'm just going to get a 16th inch end mill set up here and get ready for the second cut. All right, so that was the second of 3 cuts done. Each one just adding a bit more detail, so that cleaned up the edges on the epoxy just a little bit more, as well as opened up some of the pockets a little bit bigger where the 1/8 inch end mill couldn't get. And that's just due to some of the radiuses and features of the dinosaur and the body. So I'm going to change the bit once more, and I'm going to run a second detail pass using a 1/32 inch end mill. So in easel, basically I have my roughing pass set to use a 1/8 inch end mill, and then I just change the detail pass from a 1/16 to a 1/32 and generate the G code again, uploading it to the machine and sending it. So that's how I'm doing the multiple detail passes right now. So that's the third cut complete, and with all the detail, and you saw the last little bit was the eyes. So now I'm coming in with some quinoa from the kitchen. When I did my pour the other day, I just kind of eyeballed it and guessed and ended up with a lot of extra epoxy. So I'd seen somebody do a similar pour and estimated with rice. So I thought this would work out well. What I did find though, however, is those the quinoa balls do bounce a lot. So it was a little messier than what I saw with the rice, and might opt to use rice in the future. But I do think that this will give me a reasonable approximation of how much epoxy I need, so that I waste a lot less. So I then use the vacuum, just a little handheld small vacuum for doing like keyboard cleaning and things like that, car detailing. Just vacuum up all the quinoa, and then I can empty the canister and measure out how much epoxy I need for the pour. So now that I know approximately how much epoxy, I'm going to start mixing up some white epoxy to do the line between the dinosaur and the outer edge, as well as some green epoxy for the dots on the dinosaur's back. So I'll get that mixed up and poured. All right, so I've got those 3 pours all complete, and now it's just a waiting game. I'll come back tomorrow, and if everything looks good, I'll cut it out and get it finished up.